How's it going, everybody? Taki here, back with another video. Today we're going to take a look at the new update to the firemaking skill with Incense Burners. Welcome back. If you're new to my videos, you can find timestamps for everything that I'll talk about in the description box below. Let's get started. Incense burners are a pretty interesting addition to the firemaking skill that should give you some reason to finally train it outside the health boost that you could already get before this update. To make an incense stick, you're going to need to go through a fairly time-consuming process. You'll first start off with 2 logs of a specific type that you will cut into sticks, granting firemaking experience. After that, you'll add 2 ashes of a specific type to the stick to award some prayer experience and some firemaking experience. Finally, you'll take the incense stick and add a herb to it to make a herb incense stick, which is the thing that we're most concerned about. Outside of this, the 2 levels that are significant for firemaking are 71 and 95, as these will increase the amount of incense buffs that you can have up at one time. The last mechanic to be aware of is the potency of your incense sticks. Potency levels cap at level 4 and will increase from 1 for every 10 minutes that a stick is burning. This is fairly time consuming, so you're going to opt for the overload option that will buff you to level 4 at the cost of 6 sticks. Now let's go through some of the incense trees. In the normal tree we have 3 buffs. Guam gives us a 10% chance to gain an extra log from normal trees per level. This stacks with some achievement diaries. Terramin gives us a 25% chance to automatically bank ashes from new fires per level, and Marantel gives us a 12.5% reduction to poison damage per level. In the oak tree we have 2 buffs. The first will probably see no use at all, and that's partly due to the fact that resting is not necessary for most players of the game. That being said, Haralander will give you a 25% increase to run energy restore per level when resting. Raynar, on the other hand, will see some use, as it gives you a decent +1 prayer bonus per level, which is a nice filler incense for PvM. In the willow tree we start off with toad flax, which will give you a 12.5% chance to avoid failing an obstacle per level, which is extremely useful at any agility training pre-unlocking Prifddinas. This is going to be a flat XP gain for agility training. Spiritweed will also see a lot of use, as it increases your summoning spell point recovery rate by 10% per level, giving you a nice DPS increase if you do not use summoning potions. The maple tree has 2 situational buffs available to us. Irit will give you a 25% reduction to poison damage per level, giving you early access to a decent anti-poison option at low levels. Wargali is going to be a must-have buff for anyone training fletching due to the 0.5% chance to string a bow or add feathers to shafts without the need for materials. Acadia has the largest tree out of any of the incense sticks, partly due to the fact that there aren't many options for the logs in the game. From top to bottom we have Avanto, which will give you a 5% chance to automatically bait hunter traps per level. This will be fairly niche depending on how you are training hunter. Quarm is going to be a must-have buff for all PvM situations, as it increases poison damage by 2.5% per level. This is going to be a flat DPS gain. Bloodweed will probably not see much use at all, but it provides a 2.5% chance to gain an additional log from bloodwood trees per level. And finally, Snapdragon is another stick that probably won't see any use. It provides a 50% increase to stat restore rate per level. In the yew tree, we start off with Cadentine, which will provide you with a 2.5% chance not to deplete trees when cut per level. This is a decent option before you unlock the ability to use the Crystallize spell. Lantidime is another must-have PvM buff, as it adds 30 seconds to potion timers per level, saving you a decent chunk of money on those more expensive overload variants when used. And finally, Dwarfweed is another decent option for skillers and PvMers with its 2% chance to bank items that are gathered or dropped from monsters per level. We wrap up the incense trees with Magic, which is probably my favorite tree out of all of them. Torstol will provide us with a 0.5% increase to base XP gain per level, which is going to be a must-have for all skilling situations in the game. This increases base XP gain, so it will function with a variety of XP multipliers available to you. Before this update, the old Valentine Slam was the only way to get a buff of this size, so this is a welcome addition to the game. And we conclude with Felstock, which is going to find some niche use among slayers with its 1% increase to elite spawning per level. Now we can start talking about some PvM combos. If you're going to be using a Titan without spirit potions, and you will also be using weapon poison. You're going to want to use Spirit Weed to increase your Titan recovery rate. You're going to want to use Quarm for increasing your poison damage, and you're going to finally finish this off with Lantidime to increase your potion timers. Alternatively, if you're going to be using a Beast of Burden and weapon poison, you can swap out the Spirit Weed for a Raynar or an Irrit, depending on what you're fighting, and then you will finish that off with the Quarm and Lantidime combo. There's a lot more customization that can go into Slayer, but you're going to want to start off with Lantidime for that potion increase timer. Dwarf Weed is going to be a nice option to be able to bank some of your drops automatically, and you can finish that off with Torsil for that XP bonus to Slayer gains. Now, Incense Burners don't replace normal training methods, but I did go ahead and calculate the XP rates for the following situations. For normal sticks, you'll get 20k XP per hour. Oaks will give you 30. Willow will give you 45. Maple will give you 68, Acadia will give you 70, Yew bumps us up to 102, and for Magic we would get 152k an hour firemaking experience. If you went ahead and made these into Infernal Magic sticks, you would get 152k XP per hour firemaking experience plus 165k XP per hour in Prayer. If you went ahead and made these into Torsil sticks, you would almost get 200k firemaking experience per hour. This final section is just me testing out some of the sticks that I was interested in. This first one is going to be the Lantidime one, and I'm going to show you that it does in fact increase the potion timers. I'm going to pop a Holy Overload, and both of the buffs are going to be set to 8 minutes. You can also get a pretty sweet 12-minute Weapon Poison ++ timer. After this, I did some testing with punching the dummy with Weapon Poison on and Cinderbanes, and you can definitely see that the increase is in effect. Sometimes your max hit is only changed by a little bit, doesn't really do the full 10%, but your minimum hits are raised, so that's where you can see the increase the most. Outside of this, I wanted to test out some of the skilling buffs that I think are undertuned right now. I went ahead and tested the Worgali Incense sticks, which are supposed to give you a 2% chance to automatically string a bow. Now, when you take into consideration how slow fletching actually is, it's easy to see that you won't get much of a bonus from this buff as it currently stands. I tested this buff out using magic shield bows, and it took me around 5 minutes to get my first strung bow at around 138 made. This is pretty abysmal, considering that your gained bows and experience won't even cover the cost of making or buying your incense sticks. Hopefully some of these rates can be retuned to make them more appealing to use. As it currently stands, a vast majority of these buffs, outside the PvM ones, aren't worth the effort or cost to use, and we sure don't need more dead content in this game. That's the end of this one. If you liked the video, consider dropping a like below and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Feel free to take a look at one of the videos on screen now, and until next time, Taki out.